It's been more than 8 years since the Pike River Mine disaster, which claimed the lives of 29 men. In just a few weeks, mine experts will attempt to re-enter the site to recover the bodies of those lost. For Harry Bell, a former mines rescue worker and chief mines inspector, the upcoming mission is a stark reminder of one of New Zealand's other mining tragedies. He was part of the recovery effort at the Strongman Mine near Greymouth, which exploded in 1967, killing 19 men. All but 2 of those who died were recovered by Harry and his team. He told Conan Young and cameraman Dan Cook he doesn't hold out much hope of finding the men who died at Pike, including his own nephew. He made the same point to the victims' families when they asked him why it had been possible to recover the bodies at Strongman straight away, but not at Pike.
Strongman had 1 explosion, and if you'd have seen the mess of the bodies, Pike River's had 4. Think about it. I left that thought with them. And I'll tell you what, and because it's 9 years ago, we know about the massive big rockfall that they're all in behind, but the workings themselves are liable to be falling in.
43 years separate New Zealand's last 2 mining disasters, Strongman in 1967 and Pike River in 2010. Both were on the South Island's west coast, but for Harry Bell, who helped with the recovery effort at Strongman, the similarity ends there. He says a major difference is that at Strongman they were able to recover the men's bodies largely in fresh air because the above-ground ventilation fan was able to be restarted. At Pike, the fan was underground, the first time one had been placed in such a position, meaning there was no chance of restarting it to expel the noxious fumes inside. Harry Bell says sealing Pike River soon after the first explosion would have made a huge difference, but this didn't happen either.
Strongman, when we knew there was a fire there, we sealed it off and left it. Now that's what should have happened at Pike. I can imagine the families would have been ropeable if they'd have sealed that Pike River up, and that's what they should have done. If they'd have sealed it up, it meant that the fires that were still burning in there would have gone out, and after a month or 6 weeks, the rescue teams could have gone in, and they didn't have the danger of blowing up again, and they could have got the bodies, but they were stopped from doing that.
His memories of Strongman remain fresh. As a former employee, he knew all of the 19 men who died, men whose bodies he was tasked with recovering to make sure their families were able to give them a decent funeral.
The area that we got the bodies from was where the explosion happened, and they were all very badly burnt and knocked around, and yeah, pretty messy.
And at the time, what's going through your mind as you're having to do this?
It's always in your mind it can blow up again because it's happened, but you just get in, grit your teeth and do what you got to do, you know, yeah.
You've talked about the heat and...
Oh, it was very hot and humid, yeah. And a lot of the rescue guys got exhausted. I managed to hang on till 1 a.m. in the morning, but I was absolutely buggered too, yeah.
Is there a lot of smoke?
Oh yeah, it was murky. Yeah, it was murky in there, and some of the bodies were partly buried. You know, there's bits of roof had fallen down and that, and you know, and some of them we could see their lights shining up. Their lamp was still going, and we'd go and pick them up. You know, and of course in those days we went by every person underground had a lamp number. And you knew by his number who, like Billy Jones was number 28 or something, so you knew who it was, because some of them you wouldn't have recognised them, you know. That's why the coffins were all sealed. None of the, apart from Laurie Coughlin and Ginty Newcomb, a lot of the relatives went crook about that. But I used to say to them, well, you know, remember them as you see them in the morning when they left, because you wouldn't want to see them.
Harry Bell had concerns about Pike River before the explosions in November 2010. His vast experience of working in underground coal mines, including a stint as the country's chief mines inspector, means he's often been called out of retirement to head underground once again. One such occasion was to help with drilling the 2.3 kilometre long entry tunnel at Pike, the same tunnel the recovery team is due to re-enter this month. Things went wrong soon after he'd left Pike.
And Peter Whittle decided to push the single entry right through the Hawea fault, a big major reverse fault which is always a gas reservoir in a gassy mine. And they had nothing but trouble with ignitions, as we know. They had 10 gas ignitions in a week or a fortnight.
This is soon after you left.
I'd left by then.
Yeah.
And
what was happening with those gas ignitions as they continued?
They're getting light and they go woof, and big blue flames, and all the men be ducking their heads, and it was terrible.
He says he feared the mine was another Strongman disaster waiting to happen, and he passed on those concerns to then Health and Safety Inspector Kevin Pointer. But he says nothing was done to improve ventilation or properly address the methane ignitions. He's angry the same thing has been allowed to happen at Pike River. In his view, there was enough evidence presented at the Royal Commission to have managers held accountable.
If I'd had anything to do with it, I'd be pushing to get Whittle and company convicted and at least give the family some satisfaction. I mean, why did 6 managers all resign and leave over a short period, you know? It's not rocket science to know what's happened, what was going on there.
Former mines rescue worker and Chief Mines Inspector Harry Bell talking to Conan Young there.